My Stirling Single, Part 34. Paint or waterslide transfers, that is the question. On a Stirling Single locomotive, there's a lot of lining. So while I'm thinking about the lining problem, because I'm not very good at doing it, I thought it would be a good idea to touch in the damaged paintwork. Originally the frames on this locomotive were the wrong colour, so I overpainted them with some chocolate brown. Unfortunately, owing to the masking process, one or two bits of this paint have been damaged. This is the top part of one of the frames. It doesn't look too good at the moment, but once the brush marks have disappeared, it will blend in okay. I always find that Phoenix Precision Paints is really good for losing brush marks. Something happens as the paint dries and the brush marks magically disappear, well, most of the time. I need to repaint the inner and outer side frames using the same Great Northern Railway's chocolate brown paint. And once again, as I apply the paint, it looks fairly horrible. Even worse when I shine a bright torchlight on it. But in the fullness of time, it will look okay, because this is a very magnified image. There are one or two particles in the paint, but I really think some of these are stuck to the paint underneath. Anyway, on with the job. It's not a massive issue. Most of the paint on these front side frames is hidden. And in any case, when you see a less magnified view after the paint had dried a little while, it looks very well indeed. I got some overspray on the black piping that feeds the injectors. So here I'm getting rid of it by touching in the paintwork using Phoenix Precision Paints Gloss Black. I don't usually paint the pipework that goes to injectors, but on this particular engine I did notice when I looked at a full-size one that the pipes are painted black, and the gloss of the pipework will look really good against the polished injectors that were specially made for me by David English of Jubilee Fittings. The injectors have a round body instead of the usual hexagon body. This part that I'm painting is the injector water feed pipe because I forgot to paint this gloss black. Oh, what's this? Some rust on the wheel. I know where this has come from. I left some water in the boiler. This water must have splashed onto a bare metal part. The rust is not actually part of the wheel. I just wiped it off with a cloth. I thought I would take this opportunity to paint the motion bracket in the same Precision Paints gloss black as I used for the piping. Not all of the parts are going to be in gloss black, just certain ones, which should make it look good. Now it's time to look at the transfers. I bought this pack of transfers from Blackgates Engineering a while back. They're very good quality and far easier than painting in my opinion. I bought some sets of lines, as you can see here. These are going to be used on the tender and possibly on the boiler banding. Hello, what's this? GLNER? Great London North Eastern Railway? I'm almost tempted to put GLNER on the tender of this engine, just to upset the train spotters. I just need the letters GNR. You can see why it's been done this way. The fonts for GNR and LNER are the same. I also bought some numbers, and these are in the same font, and there are plenty of them. I don't know what the number's going to be yet. There is a maker's plate fitted on the side, so I'll give the details of that to Simon Hudson at the Steam Workshop. Simon Hudson is a walking encyclopedia and has an extraordinary knowledge of what goes with what on a steam locomotive. I'm going to try an experiment. The big problem I have with these lines is they're a bit wide to fit the boiler banding on the locomotive boiler, as they are designed, along with the corner pieces, to be fitted to the tender. Not only am I having to cut out the transfers from the backing sheet, I'm having to make them smaller. I'm a bit worried overall from the outset with this job. Cutting the transfers with a pair of scissors to the correct width is very difficult. Here I'm cutting the other side to match the first side. My scissors are very rusty, but underneath the rust is a very good quality pair of scissors. I'm pouring some water into a plastic tub. It should really be lukewarm water, but this is cold water. Either way, after a while, the backing becomes saturated and the transfer is ready to use. Fitting the first one to the boiler banding didn't work out at all, so I thought I would use a more scientific method of a steel rule and a very sharp knife. I'm only using the scissors to cut off the end part. This piece also went into the water and I left it for a while, and in this clip you can see that the transfer is starting to lift away from the backing paper. This is a good indication that it's ready to use. What you're supposed to do is slide the Waterslide transfer onto the part and then carefully pull the wet backing paper out of the way. I found this quite difficult to do. I had several attempts and I wasn't happy with any of them. So it really looks like the best way to do this job is to use paint. In my life of modelling, I don't mean walking up and down a catwalk. Trust me, you don't want to see that. I've used waterslide transfers on everything from control line aircraft, radio control aircraft and various other models. The one thing I was really bothered about with this locomotive is the heat. I once totally rebuilt a twin-cylinder Mamod steam engine, polished the boiler, repainted the firebox, and I even lined the firebox with some heat insulation material. I bought some Mamod transfers and stuck those on the firebox and it looked really good. Then I fired it and the transfer melted and warped and distorted, so that was the end of that. And throughout this experiment, using waterslide transfers on the boiler, I was really worried about the same thing happening. For the moment, I'm going to put this locomotive back on the shelf for the paint to harden a bit more and have a practice at line painting using masking tape. And that's it for now. Stay safe and well, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website. Click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you will find it very easy to find other videos that you may like to watch.